Hey guys, so in today's video I'm going to be giving you 5 tips that can help you get out of silver/gold much more quickly. Now, most of you know that silver/gold are the single 2 most populated ranks in Valorant, and so that might lead you to believe that, wow, these ranks are really hard to get out of. But in reality, and in my opinion, and in most people's opinion that are above those ranks, it's really not that hard to get out of those ranks. There's a lot of things you can do that are also pretty simple that will ultimately get you out of these ranks over even a small period of time. Now, there could be a variety of reasons you're stuck in silver or gold, but let's go ahead and jump into the first tip. And that is to be a leader and make sure that you're not verbally tilting or blaming others in your games. Now, these things might sound like they're different, but they kind of go hand in hand. They kind of mesh together, right? So if you're a leader, you don't typically blame other people on your team. Now, there is a difference between blaming people and asking people constructive questions or giving people constructive feedback. So instead of saying, Phoenix, you fucking suck, or whatever, you could be like, yo, Phoenix, can we ult here now? Or Phoenix, you flash me, can you not flash me, please? Or can you be a little more careful with your flashes? Something like that instead. But being a leader is important. You don't have to be an IGL. You don't have to give comms throughout the entire game. But nudging your team and, toward a specific site or toward a specific strategy could really be the difference between winning and losing. Because what happens in these ranks often, and trust me, it happens in Immortal as well, people turn their brains off, they stop caring, especially whenever nobody talks, and they just start doing things that, they start doing things automatically. It's called autopiloting. And if you can break your team out of that cycle and out of those habits, then you can really make a big difference. And then, of course, don't blame people. I've already said that, but don't blame people. That's like the opposite of trying to be a leader and trying to coordinate with your teammates. That's treating your teammates like enemies. Your teammates are not your enemies, no matter how bad you think they are or how mean they are. You should never fight fire with fire, meaning if someone's toxic, you should never be toxic back to them. This is easier said than done in a lot of scenarios, I understand. Don't blame and don't verbally tilt. That's another thing. So if you get frustrated right as you die, make sure you don't say in comms like, oh my, don't scream. I'm guilty of this sometimes as well. But if you're going to do that, try to do that off the mic. And also before you do that off the mic, make sure that you calm something that you need to calm before, right? So if you die and you do like 120, before you scream off mic, try to say like 120 raise and then, and then scream off mic. If you get frustrated every single time you die, it's going to wear off on your teammates eventually. So try your very best not to do that. This is some really valuable tips that I think if you can apply these, this will really help your overall ability. This is not going to get you out of silver and gold immediately, but this is one habit that you can start forming that is really going to make a difference and will eventually help get you out of silver/golds. All right, guys, so the next tip is to aim train or deathmatch consistently. And now I know I sound like a broken record. I've said this in a lot of my videos, but I just came back to actually start playing this game a few weeks ago, and I still am not consistently playing aim lab or deathmatching. And so this is how I know that a lot of you in silver gold don't deathmatch or aim train consistently, because I, a very seasoned FPS player, have come back and I don't even aim train, even though I know that I really should, and I'm starting to do that more, and it's actually really starting to pay off. I know that you guys probably don't do that as much as you should be. So that's a big thing, because if you're a person in silver/gold that struggles mechanically, which is probably most of you, even if you think you're better than most people mechanically and you struggle in other areas, you still have a lot of room for improvement from silver gold to out here to like diamond, ascendant, immortal. You're not an ascendant player. You don't have ascendant mechanics. And if you think you do, you might, but you probably don't, to be honest. There's not many people in that rank that are going to be able to compete with people that are higher rank. And that's exactly why you should be training. Build muscle memory, get better. And the best part about this is you're going to see pretty big results after a pretty short time. And a short time is like a week or a few weeks. That might not sound like a short time to you, but a really important part about this as well is making sure that you pick something that you actually enjoy. So if you hate aim trainers, and you hate aim lab, you hate Kovacs, don't play those. Play deathmatch. If you hate deathmatch, find something else. If you hate everything, then you have to play something. I mean, you don't have to, but if you struggle mechanically, those are the ways you can really improve your mechanics, your aim, your crosshair placement, your movement, your peeking, everything like that. That's how you're going to improve those things. And trust me, like I said, I've fallen into the habit of like, okay, I just want to play comp. I just want to play comp. I just want to play comp. And I'll go into comp and then I'll be like, my aim sucks. My aim sucks. My aim sucks. So how do we fix our aim? We go into deathmatch. We go into aim mob. It's very simple. And so to start off, I would recommend 10 to 15 minutes. And that's really going to help you out significantly. But you can go farther than that. Or if you really want to start a new habit, you can start with just 5 minutes. Like, go into deathmatch, play one deathmatch, go into an aim trainer, do like 5 routines, and then go to comp. And then the next day, do 10 minutes, you know, or do 6 or 7 minutes, right? It's a very simple process, but you have to be consistent and across multiple days. And then eventually, that's going to really pay dividends, and you're going to start noticing big differences. And I'm starting to notice big differences in my aim now after I haven't played in many months, and I can feel that my aim is starting to get better again, which is fantastic for me. All right, guys, so the next tip that is going to be a really beneficial one for you that'll be long lasting across your Valorant career or any competitive game is don't give up, don't FF, and stay in the game mentally even if your teammates have all given up mentally. And now this might sound kind of ironic coming from me. If you guys have seen me in the past streaming, you know that I have FF games. A lot of people in higher ranks like Immortal Radiant want to just FF games, get out. But for the beginning players and for people that are, you know, they're in silver gold, that are kind of average, I think it's really important to develop some resilience or some mental fortitude, right? And what I mean by that is just don't give up right when your teammates give up. Like, be stronger than those people around you that are just average. If you're being average with the rest of them, then you're gonna be in games longer than them. And now, you know, and you're going to be surprised that a lot of the games that you thought were going to be over, if you stick them out, they'll actually be closer than you thought. You might not win them all. You'll probably lose most of them. But there's going to be a percentage, maybe like 20%, that you'll actually win. And instead of just giving up and being, you know, not only does that hurt, you know, your chances of winning future games by just giving up mentally, it also, you know, you're also just throwing away a free chance to win that game that you think might be slim, but it's actually probably not as slim as you think. Even with people that gave up, I just had a game before I made this video where Astra DC'd on round 2. She was gone for like the entire first half, and we were running rounds without her. It was 4-6. My Phoenix gave up like a couple rounds after she DC'd, and he was like, yeah, report please, FF, just FF. And I was like, nah, we got this. And then after a little bit, I just muted him. I was like, all right, I'm muting him. And then we played it out. It was pretty close, but we lost. But anyways, I top fragged. I got a lot of kills. And as long as your mindset's in the right place and you don't give up, you can really learn a lot from those experiences, even if they're painful at first. And it'll make games where everyone on your team is trying and nobody's giving up and nobody wants to FF. It'll make those games a lot more satisfying. You'll be much more grateful for those games. And so this is a tip that I think I haven't talked about much, but I think it's actually really important. Even when people want to FF, even when people like just give up, we can't win this, you know, play it out. And if people get mad at you for not giving up, that's a them problem, okay? The next tip is going to be learn some of the fundamentals surrounding peeking, right? So peeking is a very fundamental aspect of taking gunfights, winning gunfights, and just overall being able to push, being able to defend, stuff like that. So I'm not going to go super in depth here, but I'm going to be covering what I consider to be 2 of the most important aspects of peeking that you can apply right now, and you can start developing right now after this video or after you see this. So the first thing is make sure whenever you're peeking something, you're not up close to a wall. So if I peek like this, it's going to be worse for me than if I peek farther away from a wall. Now, you don't need to be like super far back, but try to be farther away from the wall than closer. And the reason this is because the enemy is going to see you sooner than they would if you were farther away from the wall. So like this, right? They're going to be, you just see like whenever I peek here, everything gets expanded much more quickly, right? So whereas when I'm back here, you can see things get expanded much slower. And I have more control of what I see and how quickly I see it. Whereas if I peek like this and jiggle, everything's exposed like this. But if I peek from back here, it's kind of like just like a little bit, if you guys see that. And that's really useful if you want to kind of get information and see if someone's holding you or, you know, whatever. Whereas if you peek like this and then there's like 4 people holding this or something, there's like 2 people holding it, that's unexpected, obviously, but that's still going to get you killed. Whereas if you go like this, you see one, and then the other one starts running up, then you can kind of adjust. And now another thing you already see me doing that I haven't talked about is called jiggle peeking. Most of you are probably aware of this, but people that are in silver and gold, that's you guys, right? Whoever's watching this is silver gold. You guys need to get better at jiggle peeking. So you can jiggle peek really tight, meaning like this, like really tight, or again, make sure we're farther away from this wall. or you can jiggle peak a little bit wider. You can jiggle peak narrow. And then you can combine this. The reason I tell you guys to learn this a little more, to get a little more comfortable with this, is because it should be second nature. You shouldn't have to put much of your cognitive bandwidth or of your brain activity into actually trying to do this. It should just be automatic. 80, 80, 80 with your gun out. You can practice this anywhere, really. But the reason I tell you this is because then we can start practicing something called slicing the pie. And this is where we jiggle, and we progressively jiggle out more. So let's just pretend this is the actual ascent map, and then mark it's right here. So we're going to jiggle logs. You can jiggle like this. And I'm not holding shift right now. A cool thing about this is I'm not holding shift. And I'm still able to clear everything without making a footstep. So you see, if I'm holding shift, I would be going much slower. But I'm letting go of shift, and I'm actually not making noise. So this is called slicing the pie because I'm being very kind of surgical with how I clear everything. So this would be spawn. So I'm being quite surgical. And then if I hear someone running, I might come back. And this is different from just kind of peeking like this, right? Because you can't possibly clear everything like this perfectly whenever you're full running out. And especially if you think someone's holding you from one of these spots here, from here, right? And so this allows you to be, you don't have to be like super slow. You don't have to wait like 8 seconds on every single one, but just kind of like give it a jiggle on each. And if you think there's one area where they're more likely to be than another, for example, market, you might jiggle here and wait for a second. And then after a little bit, you might come over like this, and then like this. And you might cross, and you might just kind of hold something for a little bit. And so you're just being very surgical, very tactical, and very patient with how you peek. And this is all combining jiggle peeking. And also notice how we're not doing it really close to the wall. So everything really ties together. And these are only the basic fundamentals of peeking. There are other types of peeks. There's jump peeking, there's pop and swing, there's the swing where you crouch spray. There's a lot of different types of peeks, but these are, if you can get these down in silver gold, that's really, those are the most important things. And if you master these will really get you up mechanically more than the people that you're playing with and against. So make sure to practice these things. Again, I would recommend Deathmatch. I would recommend coming into the practice range. You can even come in right where I am here. Deathmatch is fantastic for training any of these skills. Alright guys, the final tip is to drop your ego or understand that you're really not very good at the game as a silver/gold player. And again, I don't say this to be mean to any of you by any means. I say this because it's just true. It's an objective fact about your rank. Your rank on a bell curve is in the very middle. So objectively speaking, you're average. And that's an overstatement. Silver/gold players are, in my eyes and in people that are around my rank and people that are pro, you're very bad. So that's not to be mean again. It's just to help you realize that if you think you're really good right now, then that's actually hurting you. That's actually holding you back because you have so many things that you can be improving on that you really need to be able to open your eyes and see them. If you're like, oh, I'm really good, everything I do is good, what am I doing wrong? Why am I stuck? Then that's the problem, right? And that's something you have to look inward, and you have to allow yourself to be vulnerable to the fact that you're actually kind of bad at certain things. And that's okay. Once you realize how many things you can be improving, it's actually kind of exciting, and it makes the game much more fulfilling whenever you're like, okay, I need to work on peeking. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty bad at post plants, or I'm pretty bad at attack. How can I get better at those things? And that's where you start to grow. If you're like, yeah, no, my attack's good, everything's good, even though they're not really, then that's the problem. And so something else we can do to fix this or help this process increase quicker is you can get coaching. I don't say this just to promote myself, but while we're at it, you know, you can get coaching from me down in the description below if you'd like. But you can get coaching from anyone, from someone that's a friend that might be a higher rank. Like, let's say you're gold. You can get coaching from an ascendant, and they're gonna have insight into your gameplay that you otherwise probably wouldn't have because they're just a higher rank. They have more experience. They're a little bit better than you, and that can be extremely eye-opening. And if you get coaching from someone that's like Radiant, they can really kind of change your whole perspective on the game, and that is really useful. Like, some of your conceptions about the game might just be completely wrong right now, or you might be doing things that are just completely wrong that if you just tweaked a little bit, it would make a big difference. And now this all goes back to, like, if you think you're doing everything right and you think that you're really good at the game, when you're in silver gold, you're just a little bit delusional. And again, I don't say that to be mean. It's just truthful. This is also this is a pretty common thing in competitive games. Like, people that are silver gold, they think that they're pretty good, and they're not. And so you have to just, like, face reality. I don't think that I'm very good, and I'm an immortal, right? And I don't think that I'm very good because, you know, I haven't hit Radiant and blah 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 blah, right? You guys can flame me in the comments if you'd like, but you know, I'll hit it one day. that's all. Anyways, enjoy the video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.